Hi, boys and girls. This is Math, Chapter 11, Lesson 6. And this is going to be our problem solving lesson, or the word problems. So I'd like to try something new today and have this lesson together. So I want you to make sure that you have your book so you can go and get your math book ready, and we will be on page 677. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to go get your math book and a pencil. And then we'll get started. Okay, hopefully you're all back now. Have your math book and a pencil ready. So 677. As you can see, problem solving, our strategy today is use logical reasoning. Now, logical reasoning is a very fancy way to say that we want to make sure that the answer makes sense. These word problems are going to give us some information, and we need to either look for a pattern or look for the information that's important to help us solve the problem. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with our lesson that you're used to seeing in class. And we have the logical reasoning lesson. So we're going to take the things that they give us, and we're going to get to our answer by thinking of either a pattern or using the information that we have to get to a certain answer. So we've been talking about how we can measure objects. Hopefully you've all had a lot of opportunity to measure things at home using your tools. Those are standard units of measure, which means my ruler and your ruler would be exactly the same. Letting 3 inches on my ruler is going to be exactly the same as 3 inches on your ruler. We can also measure objects based on just items that we have. For example, I could measure the length of my book using this marker. So I could say this book is about 2 markers long. Now, that wouldn't be a very good idea all the time, because my marker might be a little different than a marker that you have if they're not both the exact same Crayola marker. So we use rulers and things like that to make sure that all of our measurements are the same. So we can measure objects using our tools. We line up our tool to make sure that it starts at the 0, and then we see how long the object is. All right, so Carlos measured the height of a couch. He measured the height in 3 parts. Each part was 1 ruler long. What is the height of the couch? How did you solve the problem? So hopefully you remember that 1 ruler long is 12 inches or 1 foot. So I go back into the problem and I can see that the height he measured was 3 parts, and each part was 1 ruler long. So if you'd like, we could do it in feet. Each ruler is equal to 1 foot, so that would be 3 feet long. Or if you would like to measure the couch in inches, if it was 3 ruler lengths long, that is 12 plus 12 plus 12. So 12 plus 12 plus 12 is 36. 36 inches is the same as 3 feet. So 2 different ways to get to the answer of how tall the couch was. All right, next. Ian's skateboard is 2 feet long. Nick's is 18 inches long. How many inches longer is Ian's skateboard? Okay, I wanted to stop here and solve these because this is going to be very, very similar to what we need to pay attention to today. And that is, first, we need to make sure that they are measuring in the same unit of measure, meaning I can't compare things if one is saying feet and the other is saying inches. Feet and inches are related, but they're not exactly the same. So the first thing that I need to do is decide which way I'm going to measure. So am I going to talk about it in feet or inches? As you can see, they give us a clue here. It's a good idea to use inches because they gave us a clue that the answer needs to be in inches. So if I have Anne's skateboard is 2 feet long, okay, sorry, I was trying to write, but it's not quite working. All right, let's see. So 2 feet long is the same as 12 inches plus 12 inches. So that would be 24, sorry, I'm doing my best to draw it, inches. IN for inches. So Ian's skateboard is 24 inches long and Nick's is 18 inches long. So how many inches longer? Meaning that's going to be a subtraction sentence. I want to find the difference between Ian and Nick. So 24 minus 18 and once we solve this, we'll have our answer. So 24 minus 18, I can count back to subtract. So 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18. So Ian's skateboard is 6 inches longer than Nick's. Okay, so my first step was to make sure that they are using the same measurement. So they both needed to be in inches because it asked for the answer in inches based on our label over here. All right, let's try another one. This one down here. The first snake is 3 feet long. The second snake is 24 inches long. So which snake is longer? Same example. We need to make sure that we are using the same measurement. So this one is talking about feet, and this is talking in inches. So this time, let's change it into feet. So this one is already in feet. So how many feet is 24 inches? I'm going to circle that because I know I'm changing it. 24 inches would be 12 plus 12. So that is 2 feet. Okay. Sorry for these drawings, but do my best. All right, so now I'm ready for a subtraction sentence. The first snake is 3 feet long. The second snake is 2 feet long. So which snake is longer? The snake that is longer would be the 3-foot snake or the first snake. Okay, so I'm just going to write F for first, and that would be our sample there. Let's clear that. And we'll keep going. All right, so now we're ready for page 677. So we're going to use our logical reasoning, which means we're going to take the information that we have, use what we know about measuring, and use it to form our answer. Okay, so we have Coco here. Coco wants to plant a garden. She cannot decide if it should be 10 inches, 10 feet, or 100 yards long. About how long should the garden be? Okay, so you really have to think back about these three different kinds of measurements. 10 inches, 10 feet, or 100 yards long. So let's talk about these for a minute. 10 inches. 10 inches is just 2 inches short of a ruler. And actually, I'm looking for my ruler. Here it is. Okay, so this would be 10 inches from my finger to where my finger is resting here. 10 inches. So think to yourself, logical reasoning. Would this be a good length for a garden? How much could you plant in 10 inches? Not very much. Let's go to 10 feet. 10 feet would be the length of 10 rulers lined up. Save my spot. It's already 2. I could plant green beans there. Hold my finger here. Move my ruler. Okay. 10 feet seems like a pretty good answer. Let's check 100 yards long. Now, 100 yards, and I'm going to grab my yardstick. 100 yards long is the length of 100 yardsticks. Any football fans out there, that is the length of a football field, 100 yards long. So we need to take the information that we have and try to help Coco decide what kind of garden she should plant. All right, this is where we use logical reasoning. I've already seen that 10 inches is going to be too short. Okay, I won't have any room to let the flowers or plants grow. 100 yards is too long. That would be the length of a football field. So the garden should be 10 feet long, okay, or the length of 10 rulers next to each other. An important part of logical reasoning is checking that your answer is reasonable, which means, does that make sense? Does it make sense that I should not plant a garden that's only 10 inches? Yeah, that makes sense. Does it make sense that the garden 100 yards long would probably be too big? Yeah, that makes sense. So would 10 feet, I think that's a great idea. 10 feet is a reasonable answer, okay? You would have 10 feet in your yard to set aside for the garden. So I think Coco would make a good choice with 10 feet long. Okay, go ahead and turn the page and we're gonna look at Zachary. This time, Zachary is looking up at the high diving board at the pool. Is the diving board 10 inches high, 10 feet high, or 10 yards high? Okay, now remember this would be the high dive at the pool. All right, so the high dive. Would that be from my finger to here, 10 inches high? Probably not. That's not very high. The height of 10 rulers high, 10 feet high. Now remember, 10 feet high would be about twice as tall as me, or maybe definitely taller than your parents. So 10 feet high. If you have your measuring tape, you could get that out and measure what you think, or I'm sorry, measure what the height of 10 feet would be. Okay, to help you decide there. And our third choice is 10 yards high. So I'll hold this back a little bit. 10 yards high would be the height of 10 yardsticks. Now remember, this is the high dive. All right, so we're going to use logical reasoning. We're going to take our three choices and think about which one would make the most sense. So in this box is where we can write our answer. So I want you to pick 10 inches high, 10 feet high, or 10 yards high. One of them is going to be definitely too short. And then I think we should decide between 10 feet high and 10 yards high. And I'll give you a couple seconds to make a choice. And our answer would be 10 feet high. 10 feet high would be about twice as high as me. So you'd have to climb up a ladder for sure to get to the top. And I think that's a good height for the high diving board at the pool. Yeah, you probably would have to climb 10 steps to get up there. So if you made this choice, how did you make that choice? Okay, to me, 10 inches was way too low. 10 yards, now if you have your yardstick, you could measure out 10 yards, maybe in your backyard. That's pretty tall. Okay, maybe at the Olympics, you could go off the 10-yard high dive. But 10 feet high, I think at one of our swimming pools would be a good height for the high dive. Right, and now we're going to get started on applying the strategy. So I'm going to go through with you just 3 more. And then I would like you, just like we do in class, I would like you to try number 4, 5, and 6. All right, here we go. Sam planted a tomato plant that is 1 foot tall. The plant grows a little each week. After 4 weeks, would the plant be 10 inches or 14 inches tall? All right, so we're going to use logical reasoning. We're going to go back and look for the information that we know to help us with, in here, we have 2 choices to pick from. So if Sam planted a tomato plant that is 1 foot high, and then after 4 weeks, we're talking about 10 inches and 14 inches. The first thing that I want you to notice is that they're using 2 different ways to measure. First, he started with the plant was 1 foot tall. And then later he's saying that it grew and it's some inches tall. So what we need to do first is make sure that they're both using the same measurement. So I think it's easiest to change this first one. So let me get my pen. Actually, here we go. Type it. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. Okay, so 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. There we go. Okay, 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So if Sam planted something that is 12 inches tall and the plant grows a little bit each week, you've got a good tomato plant going. After 4 weeks, would the plant be 10 inches tall or 14 inches tall? So here's our logical reasoning. It told us that it grew after 4 weeks. So the plant should be taller than when it started. So using our logical reasoning, 14 inches would be a great answer. And there we have it, 14 inches. Okay. Going to the next one. All right, we have Jane. Jane made a paper chain that is 1 yard long. Okay, so imagine 1 yard long. Brad made a paper chain that is 2 feet long. Now I can even use my yardstick for this. If this is 3 feet long, or 1 yard, and Brad made a paper chain that is 2 feet long, I know from previous lessons what the answer is already, but let's talk it through. Maybe you have an idea too. So, first thing I want you to notice, Jane's talking about yards, Brad is talking about feet. So we need to make them both the same. So let's change yards into feet also. How many feet are in 1 yard? So let's look at our yardstick. If 1 foot is 12 inches, that's 1 yard. Another 12 inches, 2 yards. 1 yard, 2 yards, feet. Sorry, I said that wrong. 1 foot is 12 inches. 2 feet is 24 inches. 3 feet is 1 yard. So this I'm changing to 3 feet instead of 1 yard. Brad made a paper chain that is 2 feet long. So who made the longer paper chain? Well, 3 feet is longer than 2 feet. So the answer is Jane. Jane's was 3 feet, Brad's was only 2 feet. So that would be 1 foot longer. Okay, notice there isn't a lot of work to show because we really are paying attention to the words in the problem. Okay, the only work that I show for these sometimes is like this. I'm changing my 1 yard into 3 feet. As long as you know how you got to the answer, that's that's going to be the best when we're using logical reasoning. All right, the last one that we're going to do together. Mr. Moore's class is collecting things to measure. Lisa finds a pine cone. Would the pine cone be 3 inches, 3 feet, or 3 yards? Okay, so one thing you need to know is, what is a pine cone? A pine cone is the little things you find on the ground. Sometimes we decorate them at Christmas time to make a animal feeder outside, like a squirrel feeder or a bird feeder. Pine cone, not very big, okay? So let me use my tool to show you. Would the pine cone be about 3 inches, which is from one finger to the other? 3 feet, which is 3 lengths of my ruler, or this, okay, this is 3 feet long, or 3 yards long, 3 lengths of the yardstick. Okay, I'll give you a second to take a guess. Think about it. Pine cones, we find them out in the yard, find them on the playground. Hopefully you wrote your choice. And the answer is 3 inches. Okay. Using logical reasoning, we also sometimes, like this one, we need to know what it is that we're talking about. So if I didn't know what a pine cone was, I could either ask someone or look it up. Okay, so the next 3 problems that you are going to do by yourself, you are going to have to do a pattern in number 4, counting by 5s, give you a clue. Number 5, is a subtraction sentence. Number 6 is an addition sentence. So try it out. I know you have to take what you know from the word problem and really focus on those measurements, okay? And good luck. Good job.